Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who are here sharing their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, and we help businesses scale their revenue through using outside the box visibility strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're really excited to have you here. Please stay to the end because we have a free gift for you. Without further ado, I'm actually talking to somebody who's outside of London today. So I shared with you, we talked to business leaders from all over the world. We're on the outskirts of London today with Harley Green with Workergenix. So welcome, Harley, to the podcast.
Hey, Heidi. Thanks so much for having me on the podcast today.
It is my pleasure. So Harley, can you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about you, Workergenix, and the role that you play within it.
Yeah, so I am a digital nomad. My family and I travel internationally full time. We've been doing it for about a year and a half now. We've probably been in about 12 to 15 different countries during that time, and
Wow.
it's been an amazing experience. And it's been enabled because of the way we've designed our businesses, leveraging virtual assistants and technology. And so I am a huge believer and passionate about leveraging virtual assistants because we've seen it work across multiple business lines in our family, and it has led to this amazing lifestyle we have today. So I really love helping share these tips that we've learned and systems we have in place with other people so they can enjoy similar success.
So what inspired you to launch this? I know that it allows you to travel, but before that, what was the reason that you decided to launch your business?
Well, probably a lot of people listening have side hustles, and we were in that position several years ago where my wife and I both had full-time W-2 jobs, and on the side we were doing things like doing some real estate investing. We had some property rentals. We had a homestead where we were raising our own food with like pigs and rabbits and goats and things like that. And plus, we had kids, and there was just like not enough hours in the day to do it all. And we finally got to this breaking point where we were like trying to keep up with our bookkeeping for these different businesses, the investments and the farm. And it was just like up at midnight. And we're like, is this why we're doing this? To like be up at midnight doing bookkeeping? And the answer, of course, is no. And so we're like, how can we solve this? And so we did some research. We learned about virtual assistants, how there's these incredibly talented English speaking professionals that live in the Philippines and have access to high-speed internet and are really good at accounting and other administrative tasks, and they happen to live in a country where there's a lower cost of living. So it's easy for US business owners to afford them and get the help they so desperately need that maybe they like couldn't afford locally. We were living in Northern Virginia at the time, outside of Washington, D.C., very expensive market. So we were just like we were talking to people about, help with bookkeeping or being an executive assistant. And it was going to be like $30+ an hour. And, when we were first getting started, our businesses didn't have a budget for that. And so we started leveraging virtual assistants in that way, and it just grew and grew. As soon as we got some things off our plate, we were able to have that headspace to like have even more creativity and come up with new things we wanted to do, grow the business more, and then add on even more. And so we got to the point where it's just now standard for us when we start a new business line or new area. The first thing we do is get an executive assistant who is a virtual assistant who can help us handle that so that our time is really spent doing only highly productive strategy level type activities.
So for leaders who are listening and business owners who are listening, who are maybe been feeling overwhelmed with the daily tasks, what signs should they be looking for that it's time to take that leap and bring in a virtual assistant? And how can you walk us through how they should choose the right one?
Yeah, so picking the right executive assistant or virtual assistant can be a challenge. We definitely learned the hard way, having situations where, hey, maybe we want to like hire a part-time person starting out because maybe there's only 20 hours of work that we have to hand off. And then finding out later, well, that part-time assistant had 6 part-time clients. And so they weren't really giving us part-time. And we had no way of knowing because they were virtual and we were like doing it ourselves, directly contracting with them. There was no support framework in place. And so kind of going back to the original question though of, when is it time? For us, we've learned that as soon as you start a new business, if you are serious about growing it and you really believe in your business plan, put in that business plan. Your first hire is going to be an executive assistant for, less than $2,000 a month of an investment. You're basically buying back 15 to 30+ hours of your own time, which is the most valuable time in your business because you're the expert at what your service line is. And so if you can make that small investment up front, that's going to pay far more dividends than any other technology or hardware that is going to help you grow your business. So on the flip side, though, people who have already gotten in it and maybe didn't make that decision up front, if you're feeling overwhelmed at all, or like you haven't gotten to some of those like nice to have projects that you've been meaning to get to, that's a great sign that maybe you need an executive assistant to free you up. Maybe they're not going to necessarily do those like big nice to have projects that you've been thinking about getting to, but they're going to take off the little stuff off your plate. And with technology these days, it's so easy to just get started by taking a notepad or like Google Keep, going throughout your day. And as you're doing your normal work, anytime you find yourself doing something that you're like, this is like not why I got into doing this business, this is kind of draining me, just jot it down on that notepad. Do that for like a week, and then you can throw that list into AI, like ChatGPT or something like that, and say, hey, here's all the things that I want to take off my plate. Give it some context about what your business is and your personality, and say, I would like you to interview me with like 3 to 5 questions and help craft this into a job description or job descriptions that are optimized for having a virtual assistant take over. And you'll be amazed at the output, and it'll make it so much easier for you to start interviewing and finding the exact right virtual assistant that you need.
Wow. Yeah, it seems like, it's nice also too for solopreneurs. Like if you're, like you said, just getting started and putting in that business plan, or making sure that that the first hire should be support, right? An executive assistant. And it's also nice to have that second person that may be able to share with you, like, we've been doing this really the hard way, the long way, because it's not our zone of genius as a founder, as a solopreneur. Whereas that's their zone of genius. They know how to get it done so much more efficiently. So what could take us 3 hours could take them 30 minutes, which is a really nice thing to, like you said, taking off 15 to 30 hours a week of your time. And many entrepreneurs are working 80 plus hours a week just to keep their business going.
Yeah, you bring up a good point.
Yeah. So what are some of the most common misconceptions that people have about hiring a virtual assistant, and how do you help them move past those misconceptions or those thoughts?
Yeah, so many people have heard of horror stories of, working with a virtual assistant who was maybe slow or didn't do quality work or like ghosted them, or they had a bad experience. They didn't do, weren't doing the things they wanted them to do. And my answer to that is, this happens universally with any kind of employee. We tried to hire people locally many times across different roles where we were living in Northern Virginia and again in Tennessee. And we had similar challenges just like those, where we'd have a babysitter that we hired to come every day, and they would just like not show up one day and not let us know. This is kind of like this is dealing with people, and a lot of people who are solopreneurs and maybe haven't worked with local hires or virtual hires before, but have heard some horror stories on the virtual assistant side, might think that that's like a unique challenge for virtual assistants, and it's not. That's a human thing. Now, there are ways to address it, and so that's part of why we started Workergenix, is to address many of those common challenges or misbeliefs about virtual assistants. And so some of the ways that we overcome that is by noting that, a lot of virtual assistants come from the Philippines, and they have a different culture than the US. There are some unique aspects of it that you have to be aware of if you're going to work with them successfully. And it has to do with how they view their community and their coworkers and people who they work for. And there's this thing called the Power Scale Index. And what it basically measures is like how people relate to people in positions of authority above them. In the Philippines, they score like a 90 out of 100 on this, meaning they view their like client or boss with the same level of like reverence or respect as they might an elder in their family. What that means on the negative side for US business owners is sometimes they will not want to like bother that person with personal challenges. And the way they like cope with that or deal with it is by just resigning and kind of ghosting. And that's a challenge that a lot of people see with VAs. Now, the way we overcome that with Workergenix so that our clients can be confident investing the time to train and work with their virtual assistant is we have the local support network. So this is something that like wouldn't make sense if you're a solopreneur to like hire 5 additional HR people to take care of your like 1 or 2 executive assistants, but you get that when you work with a service like Workergenix, where we've got those people that are local there that have a close relationship, so that when our employees do have personal challenges that come up, because that is inevitable when you're working with people, they bring that to our internal HR team, and they're able to help them work through those things in a way that does not disrupt their work for our clients. And so things like a family member getting hospitalized could be, it's a super common thing that would cause a virtual assistant to just be like, I got to go to the hospital and take care of them, and like they need financial help and I can't work anymore. Well, we're able to address and be like, actually, we can help you with that. We can give you a pay advance. We can, other team members can pool together to help you or help find childcare or whatever it is you need so that you are able to keep working and not have this major disruption. And so those are some benefits of working with like an agency model like ours, where it just handles all those things. We provide the team building activities like happy hours and nights out at the restaurant for them so that they feel like that strong connection and then don't want to leave at the drop of a hat if things get tough. They work through it, giving our customers the best support possible.
I love that you shared all that, because you're building a culture within your company, which I believe is really, really important. And it's something I've heard from many of the leaders that I brought onto this, that I've spoken with on this podcast, is that internal culture matters. Everything that you want to receive on the outside of your business starts within on the inside. And you us as a business owner, bringing in a virtual assistant who already has that culture within the company they're working for, is going to support creating that culture or supporting that culture within their business as well, which I think is fantastic. So in your experience, Harley, what are some of the top time wasting tasks that founders hold on to for too long? And what happens when they finally let them go?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've had great success basically having our entire businesses operated by virtual assistants, but we can focus on in just some of the most common areas where people were just holding on too long. And that really is like kind of what I would say like operations. And so things like your email management, scheduling, running meetings. One of the things we've implemented in our business is the EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, and Level 10 meetings. And I don't actually run those. One of my executive assistants, who we trained into the role of director of operations, runs those for us, and she's a virtual assistant. And so it's amazing that I don't have to have my like mental headspace taken up of preparing for our weekly team meetings, getting the agenda ready, remembering what all the challenges from last week were. She does all that for me. So I show up, I am like an audience member, and my administrative team of all virtual assistants is able to go around, give full status updates on all of our team KPIs, the challenges from last week, the solutions, and any new challenges, and then we can brainstorm together on how to address those. And so I'd say, doing that calendar, email management, meetings, and just like the general operations of the business, getting things like SOPs in place, managing CRMs, and then taking a step further outside that kind of niche operations role is marketing. A lot of solopreneurs, especially, spend a lot of time doing like social media marketing and things that is not their area of expertise. And the sad thing is that like it shows, and it actually can hurt the business when you put out content that people are like, "Ooh, that's kind of cringy," when there are people out there from the Philippines that are like incredibly talented, smart marketing experts that would love to do this for you for less than $2,000 a month full time to handle everything. And the nice thing with these people too, and one of the things that we really specialize in, is finding people that are like multifaceted with their skills. And it's a unique thing with people in the Philippines because it is so common to have like online jobs that are supporting US businesses. We're able to find people that have skills in like bookkeeping and administrative assistant. So you can, instead of just having like a whole full-time bookkeeper, you can get one executive assistant that can also help you with doing your bookkeeping, sending out invoices, keeping all your transactions up to date, having receipts associated with it, and help do some of your operations like managing your email inbox, your calendar, coordinating with vendors or calling clients and setting appointments, things like that.
Wow. We definitely need some your help. For sure. So scaling a service-based business can be challenging, can be a little tricky. So what systems or strategies did you have to put in place to handle your growth?
Yeah, so we are huge on leveraging technology, people, and systems. And so one of the things that I like to follow is like my wife and I in our business is like we're the people who with like the vision, right? We're the visionaries. A lot of entrepreneurs are the visionaries. So they have these great ideas of what they want to do, but maybe they're not as good at executing. And so what I will typically do, and I recommend to all of our clients, is when you are working on something that you want to start handing off and getting off your plate, do a video recording. There's so many technology tools now for doing this. For example, you could use Zoom, you can use Google Meet, there's Loom, all these services where you can just, whenever you find yourself doing that task that you shouldn't be doing anymore, hop on there, hit a screen record. You don't even need your camera on, doesn't need to record your face, and you can just talk through, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's how I do it, here's some edge cases, here's things to look out for. This is me doing this task. You record it, you save that file, drop it in a task management portal. And that's another thing we're huge on that is really helpful for people wanting to scale, is having a consistent task management system. So whether that is like Asana, Monday.com, you choose the technology that you prefer, but stick with it and use it consistently. That's a challenge we see a lot of people having, is like maybe they've got a task management system, but they still find themselves sending their executive assistant a text message to task them with something, or an email or a chat. They don't just put it in that one place, and then things inevitably get lost or confused. Like, did I send it to you here? Did I send it? Like, did you get it? If you just put it all in that one system, then everyone has visibility on what's going on. You can track priority, deadlines, categories, status, all the communication in one place. It's hugely helpful. And so then you can take that recording that we talked about first, plop it in the task management portal, assign it to your executive assistant. It's probably already got a transcript and summary from the AI tools now that are integrated in all these things. They can then take that and create an SOP. They can use another AI tool like ChatGPT. They can take the text summary, automatically create a SOP, standard operating procedure, or a procedure for how to follow this going forward. And the benefit of this is now you can create a recurring task. You can associate that written procedure with it, and it gives you several benefits. The first is you, as the leader, can very quickly review it and know that your executive assistant has mastery of this task without having to actually like sit over their shoulder watching them do it step by step, because you can just quickly read through that Google Doc SOP. You can put inline comments of like, hey, this wasn't clear, sorry I missed that, or hey, clean this up, add a little more detail there. So much faster than like you would in a traditional office setting of like sitting next to someone training them how to do something. So it's actually kind of having that virtual distance forces you to be more efficient in this case. The second benefit you have now is your business is more resilient and scalable. So let's say this is a task that can scale with your business growth. And maybe over time, your executive assistant is now doing director of operations role. And you have someone else in that role that's like maybe marketing. Maybe it's like a newsletter or social media caption or video editing for your podcast, and you need to have another person doing it. The ramp up time now is so much less because they just have to read English and then have some familiarity with the tools, and they can do the task. It takes like no time of yours, and your existing executive assistant can answer any additional questions they had because they're the ones who were doing it before and made the procedure. So there's just so many benefits of having that task management system and using those SOPs and delegating to those executive assistants that just makes life so much easier for business owners.
Incredible. So Harley, I want to dive into growth a little bit, since we're talking about how you were growing a little, like to go a little deeper as far as like, what have you all, visibility wise, first of all, share with us who your ideal client is. Are you pretty agnostic when you support businesses? Second of all, what is some of the ways that you're getting in front of these people to stay visible? Because there is a lot of noise out there. You brought up social media, and there's right ways of doing marketing and wrong ways when it comes to social media. And we definitely need an expert that can handle that for us. But what are some of the ways that you've been utilizing, whether it's social media or paid advertising or organic methods that have worked for you? And on the flip side, have you tried some things that just didn't work for you?
Absolutely. So I would say that the things that have been most effective for our growth is referral partners. And we develop those referral partners by having value opportunities for people that are connected to our ideal clients. So we work primarily with executive and leadership teams of small to medium-sized businesses, of professional service businesses. So we really want to work primarily with people who already have established businesses. The solopreneurs can really have challenges sometimes when they're working with their first hire. They require a lot of handholding, and oftentimes they're best served by having a business coach before they're even ready to get a hire, because just the washout rate is so high, even just in business in general, for people getting started. So our executive assistants are really trained to work with those established small to medium businesses. And we connect with them by providing value through a podcast. We also have a podcast where we focus on sharing tips and strategies for scaling and growing and leveraging technology, software systems, and virtual assistants. We bring on multiple different experts. And Heidi, we'll have to have you come on that podcast soon as well and share your expertise with our audience. And that helps a lot with just establishing authority and creating genuine value add opportunities. And from that, we've found that we get a lot of referrals coming in of people who either are listening to the podcast or maybe were guests on the podcast and are like, hey, actually, after talking to you and sharing these tips, I can think of like 3 other business owners I know who are, or leaders in their business who are just feeling super overwhelmed. They could benefit by having a couple executive assistants to support their leadership team. And so The other way that we do really well is existing client referrals. So I always emphasize to our team, like, listen, every single client comes in here is potential for 2 or 3 new clients. And so we really want to make sure we do a good job. And we've structured our business so that our interest and incentives are fully aligned with our clients. We don't charge any startup fees. We have no long-term contracts. And so our interests financially for our business growth are completely aligned with our clients being successful and having incredible match executive assistants. So we found with those two combinations that has worked really well. And then to the last part of your question of things that we've tried that haven't worked well, we've tried doing like paid online advertising on social media. We tried Facebook and we've tried LinkedIn and Instagram, and we really had challenges with that because there's just like really a lot of nuance with how you like target your ideal client and how you phrase the ads. And we found that when we mentioned things like executive assistant in the ads, we had sometimes actually attract other people who were looking to be executive assistants. And so we'd get like all this noise coming in of leads that we'd call. We'd have a great sales VA who'd make these follow-up calls and be like, hey, did you get the information you requested? Do you have any questions? We're like, yeah, how do I apply? We're like, apply for what? And so there was kind of a challenge there. And so I think that we've just seen constant shifts in the market for paid ads, and you really need someone who's like a deep expert on that to do it well. And for us, it wasn't worth that investment. So we've kind of scaled back on that, and we really just focus on building great relationships with our referral partners.
Yeah, there's nothing better than referrals because that means you have happy clients and happy customers who are eager to share your services with other people, share you and your services with other people. And that ends up building a long-term relationship, longer term relationship, maybe than from a cold outreach too. So thank you for sharing all of that. What's next for all of you for Workergenix? Harley, like over the next, say, 12 months, what are your big goals?
For Workergenix, we are really planning on integrating AI systems in our internal processes a lot more. So my background is computer engineering. I'm really passionate about it. We've been training our employees to use AI in support of their clients. And we've honestly kind of neglected like our internal systems because we already had all these SOPs, things are working well, but we realized, hey, we're at this point where we could be even more efficient. We could do more with less. We can give our employees like less stress by taking more off their plate and handing it to AI. So we're in the process of creating AI agents to help with our recruiting, as well as helping with like any kind of automatic handling of the employee training and onboarding. We do a very rigorous like 4-week onboarding for all of our new hires that requires a lot of oversight from our internal administrative team to review and score their output to make sure we get the very best for our clients. And so if we can leverage AI to automate so much more of that, we'll be able to have larger cohorts come in and have a wider pool size to sample from to get even better candidates for our clients.
If I could give you a magic wand and that you could go poof on one issue or challenge that could be holding you back from achieving your goals this year, what would that one thing be and why?
That is a great question. Well, I think it would go back to that AI agents. There's so many different AI agent platforms and systems and technologies out there that sorting through it all just takes so much time to figure out. And then there's this like hesitancy of like, well, did I make the right choice? So if there was a magic wand that could be like, this is the best technology platform, it's going to do everything you need to do, and it's one platform, you don't have to like connect APIs from 6 different places, that would be amazing.
Well, maybe it's coming, especially with the evolution of AI and how fast things are being created these days. So Harley, what if we could have you back on in 12? Oh, I'd love to be on your podcast, by the way. Thank you for the invite. If we could bring you back on in 12 months and revisit this conversation, what does success look like for you and Workergenix?
Success will be that we will have doubled our client base. We'll have AI fully leveraging for doing our recruiting and our employee training, and maybe even have some more different marketing channels going because of the AI tools.
So can you tell for those of us listening, for our listeners, for those of people who want to learn more like I do, and they're chomping at the bit, how do they connect with you and learn more?
Yeah, so I've got this free guide. It's called Delegate to or Die, and it has 100+ roles and responsibilities. It's just like a checklist form that our executive assistants handle for our clients. So it's a great starting place if you're just like, I don't even know what a VA can do for me. Go to this website, workergenix.com/business growth spotlight, and you'll be able to download the guide. and it will tell you, all the things they can do. You can just go through in your free time and check off the list of things like, oh yeah, we need that, we need that. And then when you're ready, you can schedule a discovery call with me. We'll talk about your business and strategize together about what a specific role might look like or set of roles to best support your team to be able to grow and scale with executive assistants.
Oh, I love that. So good. And you used our podcast. I like it. So definitely go check that out. Workergenix.com/business growth spotlight. Super easy to get to. And remember, go download that for that guide, because it's going to be could be a game changer for you. And I have a feeling it's going to be, especially if you're feeling overwhelmed in your daily tasks, or you're one of those people like me that stress out sometimes and can't sleep because you've got a lot of things in the back of your mind you've got to get done. You need this guide because it's going to support you in showing you 100 different things that you could be doing. And I know you're doing at least a good number of them that a virtual assistant through Workergenix and Harley could definitely be supporting you on. Getting 15 to 30 hours back in your time is huge. Just think about the growth that you can be creating in your company and the tasks, the revenue generating tasks that either a virtual assistant can be helping you with, or you could be focusing on, if that's your zone of genius, to be growing your business quicker. So thank you, Harley, for all of that. We'll also have Harley's links inside the show notes, so make sure you go there and grab them. If you're watching Harley and I on YouTube, hi, thank you for joining us. Leave him a comment below. Let him know that you heard him here. If you're listening and if you want to learn more about Harley, then make sure you're going to this website. Also share this episode with other business owners, other people that you believe, small to medium business sizes, that you believe could use their support and to support them in growing your business. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That's how we can ping you to let you know when we have more amazing guests like Harley on here supporting you in your business growth. If you're listening to us on your favorite platform like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all those places, and you can leave a review, we'd be grateful for you leaving a 5-star. That allows a platform to push this episode and our podcast out to more people. The goal of this, and Harley touched on it, a lot of businesses closing their doors. They fail fast. Most startups don't make it past the first 5 years. Goal of this podcast, and through our amazing guests supporting my mission, we're hoping to flip that number into more thriving and succeeding versus closing. So please share this with as many people as you can so we can reach our goal. I promised y'all a gift. You have Harley's gift. Go to workergenix.com/business growth spotlight to learn about what tasks you could be doing that you could be getting support on through a virtual assistant or an executive assistant, VA. If you're looking to grow scale and you've been trying different visibility methods, and Harley shared what's working for them, and you feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and just not getting to where you want to go ahead and down our Spotlight to Scale blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab that. And again, we'll have all the links in the show notes. Harley, is there anything that you want to share that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on before I let you go back to your amazing traveling world?
No, that was great, Heidi. Really appreciate you taking the time to have me on the podcast and your insightful questions. Hopefully, we're able to share some tips and insights with your audience today.
You did. And if it's okay, I have one more question for you. Since you're, a digital nomad and you're always traveling with your kids and your wife, which I think is fantastic, what advice would you give to other business owners who want to create that similar vision, that have that similar vision and want to have that goal, achieve that goal?
Yeah. I would say the first thing is do some vision planning, like write down what you want your ideal day to look like, whether that's, full-time rapid travel or slow travel, just spending, 6 months overseas and come back to the US for 6 months. Get really clear on what you want your life to look like. Then you can work backwards and set up goals and systems to achieve that. And it's not possible unless you actually have that endpoint vision clear and written down.
So good. Well, thank you, Harley, for your time today. Thank you all for listening to us on the Business Growth Spotlight. And make sure you go check him out. Go to the website, go grab that guide, and we will see you on the next episode.